Good afternoon, everybody. It's me and Dom here from Not Another FPL podcast, recording on the 24th of February, looking back on game week 25. How we doing, Dommy? You doing all right there?
Yeah, I'm getting by. It's another week, another podcast. What we got in store today?
Right. Well, obviously, we'll have a little look at your team. We will quickly go to that now. As you can see, Dommy, talk us through it then.
Yeah, well, as you can see, 67 points. Done a little -4, didn't I? Took out Antonio for Bamford, so I'm glad Bamford scored last night because obviously Antonio got his goal. Captain Rafinha went for it and he outscored Bamford, so that was quite nice. But in the grand scheme of things, it was quite a mediocre game week because when you're sort of in the 200,000 mark, 67 is not the best to score considering some of the scores out there. So I sort of drop in rank, but all in all, 12 points above the average with the -4. Really don't know what to do about next week. I've got absolute problems with Trent and Mane. I think they've got me 11 points combined in 5 game weeks. So
Wow,
that's 20 million well spent. Can't wait for them to get me another couple of points in the double game week. What about you?
Yeah, mate. Well, I tell you what, they've got to come. They've got to come good sooner or later, haven't they? So we could also talk about how far down I am in the league. So let's just keep scrolling until we get to 17th. There we go. So yeah, there we go. Played my wildcard. Actually activated it on Wednesday, hoping for the double game week to be announced a bit earlier than when it was, given that it was actually, I think, 1 minute after the deadline at 6:30 on Friday night. But yeah, it went all right, to be fair. 86 new players such as Rafinha, Barnes, Dallas doing me really well. Obviously had to keep Bruno. But yeah, amazing how Digne went and got the 7 drop away at Liverpool. Did not see that happening. Steady as, safe as ours is Edison in goal. But yeah, that's obviously multiplied to get my 86. I've gone from, I think,
got there. Oh, Barnesy coming through, and I think he's got 25 points now in the last 2 game weeks. He's
let's have a quick look.
Quite the player.
Yeah, 25. And to be fair, not exactly against the 2 worst teams in the league, Liverpool and Villa. So no, I'm really happy I own him. So I went from 1,600,000 to about 3,380,000. So I've gone down a few places in the world, a few 100,000 places in the world, going back up slowly, but we move, as they say. We keep moving and keep going. So
I hate that term, man.
Why?
I wish can we start this pod again now?
Why? I'm just bringing some positivity, mate. You don't know what it's like being 17th. You're moaning because you've dropped from 4th to 5th, and I'm there 17th, mate. So
you're gonna start getting those injection bloody things out on Twitter in a minute, aren't you? And say injectic, right? One of them, ain't you?
Nah, mate. I think you need to explain that to yourself. Right, so double game week then, mate. This is how I'm looking, but more importantly, how are you looking? Because as you've just brought up, you've got Trent, you've got Mane, they've got a double game week. What's your thoughts?
I'm in one of those mindsets where I'm either going to do nothing, or I feel like
Let's get your team up.
Playing the bench boost. I think obviously a lot of managers played their wild cards in 25, so they could play their bench boost in 26.
Yeah.
Saka's not got a double game week. We know the Leeds boys haven't, but I'm not too worried about the Leeds boys because most other people will have them. Ben Mee needs to go. He's got a horrendous double game week.
How do you fancy them Leeds boys to get on against Villa? Because I'm actually quite optimistic, considering the injuries Villa had.
If Grealish doesn't play, then I fancy Leeds to go out there and do a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, in that second half, they cruised past Southampton.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
Albeit I don't rate Southampton at all. They're very hot and cold, and I think Hasselhoff is literally a couple of games away potentially from getting sacked.
Mm,
But against
it's
Villa's
interesting.
all about Jack Grealish. When you got someone like Grealish in the dressing room, it gives a boost to all of the players,
Yeah,
therefore the moment he's not there, not only does his own team think it's going to be a lot harder to get
yeah.
a result, but I think the opposition look at the team sheet and they're basically celebrating before they even get out on the pitch.
Yeah, so actually on to that then, you fancy Leeds to do well, and the likes of Rafinha up against a Villa with no Matty Cash playing that Al Hamadi. Do
Yeah,
you see more
I think
points coming from that left side?
I think you're right there. I think Rafinha just looks awesome, as you'll probably elaborate in a second about. But watching those the two games he's just played in, I mean, he puts it on a plate, doesn't he?
Mm.
And I was so happy he actually got his goal against Southampton because he should have done a lot better when he ran 40 odd yards
That was a
and then
joke, wasn't it? It was a
made
joke.
another real
To
tackle.
be
But
fair, he's
really,
on the right, isn't he, Rafinha? He's on the right. I take that back. So he's up against target. Yeah, I
you know,
swear he was on the left, wasn't he?
he started on the left and then he had a bit more joy out on the right. And in the second half, he actually went back over to the left. So
Yeah, because
he was
Harrison come
very,
off, didn't
very
he?
versatile.
Harrison
Yeah.
come off, didn't he, for Costa, and then he went over and terrorised Bedenak. So, yeah, I think, like you said, I'm close to pressing my bench boost and playing them Leeds boys because Bamford scored a hat-trick against them back in November. So he enjoys playing against Villa. And I think Rafinha's going to have even more fun. And then obviously you got big Stewie Dallas there just doing what he does. And
Yeah.
so I'm more than happy keeping them 3 leads and actually playing my bench boost. So apart
You
from that,
will,
then, mate,
that's why you've done it. You will bench boost.
yeah,
Will you have a keeper that's playing as well? You going to have two keepers that are playing? Double
yeah.
game?
So I was just looking at your team then. But yeah, no, I probably will be looking at getting 2 goalies. I think if I can get one to play twice instead of not at all, even if it's for a -4, the points get completely, um, gained back just by
Yes.
playing. So it just seems like a no-brainer. So we've touched on Leeds then, mate. Obviously, they're probably the only team we want to touch on who's got a single double game week. So who else are you looking as your
Well,
team?
if you're that double game week, I think Everton have got lovely
Mm,
fixtures. I'm happy that I'm a Digne owner.
yeah,
I've
me
got
too.
DCL, which was nice that he got the assist for that penalty. Whether it was a penalty or not, it was given and they scored. I think that Everton are worth targeting if you don't own
Totally
any
agree.
of their assets for the double game week. Um, and I would say if you can get Digne at the back, go for it. But obviously DCL, but also Richarlison looks like he is sort of finding some
Yeah,
form. He's got a couple of goals in the last few game weeks.
yeah,
He is their best player, and it's just whether he can sort of kick on it and carry on and be consistent.
yeah. I totally agree. I do fancy, as I just said, they've obviously got Southampton as their first game week down that left side. Him and Richarlison and Digne to get really far forward and terrorise Bedenak again. And I think Digne is actually due a massive haul soon. And I would probably be putting on him to be getting at least 15 points in these 2 games. I can only see a clean sheet and an assist in that Southampton game, and then whatever follows after that against West Brom. I mean, you could be looking really high. If he was really maverick, I'd even put the armband on him. But I've got a couple of big guns in there that I probably would trust more. But yeah, Digne, I totally agree with the Everton shout. I will be getting either DCL or Richarlison in and lock and load for the Everton party, I guess we should call it. Talking about parties, what do you think about Jamie Vardy party? Are you going to have a bit of that this double game week? Because I know you're his favourite fan and want to get on
Yeah,
the beers with him, but
I mean, I want to go to Thailand with him.
ooh,
It'd be fun, wouldn't it?
not sure Rebecca would be happy with that.
Again, if I'm either going to do nothing or I'm just going to do something ridiculous like a -12. And if I do a -12, it's because I want Vardy, but I
Mm,
also want Barnes. However, Madison is confirmed injured.
yeah,
I still think Leicester will be good without Madison, but will it sort of blunt their arrow a little bit? Possibly.
mm,
It definitely makes it a little less attractive to do minus points, but I think Vardy is a great differential.
yeah,
So for someone like me, I'm getting a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm getting a little bit bored at the moment, but everyone just seems to have the same,
yeah,
and I respect anyone that sort of takes a punt, even if it doesn't come off, even if you can call Vardy a punt. I don't think you can. But yeah, he's definitely in my sight
yeah.
if I do a minus
If
four,
you go,
minus
if you
eight,
go,
minus
if
12.
you go hard on it, yeah. See, I like that Pereira for um, Leicester. I think now he's back. I think he's due in a attacking return. Again, got very good games against. I see him beating Arsenal and I see him beating Burnley. So Pereira is on my radar. Um, yeah, I think obviously I've got Barnes on my wild card, so I think I'll be just happy with getting them two in. Sorry, him in if I do go Leicester. Um, but yeah, so obviously moving forward, then Dommy, um, pretty straightforward in the sense of who do you think will be your captain? Because I
Well,
think it's quite tricky.
yeah, I think you've got. I think actually, captaincy is probably the most difficult game week to pick a captain. Um, One reason being is a couple of weeks ago, everyone had planned probably to triple captain Harry Kane in
Mm,
game week 26, and now he's not. He's probably fourth choice in a lot of managers' eyes. I think you can't ignore the stats, and the stats would say that two away games for Fernandez has got to be appealing,
yeah,
albeit
totally agree.
Chelsea. Um, Chelsea have done remarkably well to keep as many clean sheets as they have since Tuchel's come in. They obviously had a great win against Atletico Madrid
Mm-hmm.
um, just last night. However, they don't look like they've got many goals in them at the moment. So if they do, when they come up against someone like United, if United would score 2 goals, I think they win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that might not be the case against other teams. You've obviously got the lovely double game week for City as well, who are obviously the form team, top of the league, running away with it. Again, if I was to do minus points, I would be eyeing up getting KDB in,
Yeah,
and he could be a possible captain option. So that's tricky. You've already mentioned Digne, which again you could also then say DCL
yeah,
if
true, true.
if you're going that way. I think two lovely fixtures. Southampton defence looks
Oh, sorry.
pants, and then you've got West Brom who um, probably are going to get relegated. So and
Yeah,
that's as well. What's your mindset on that?
it's really interesting you've just mentioned KDB because seeing Man City that have 4 home games in 2 game weeks scares the absolute pants off me. Not having one of them big guns for Man City. Got Gundogan and Edison. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, that's a good point. It's on Kane at the minute, but it doesn't excite me. Like you said a few weeks ago, or maybe even like a couple of years ago, when he is in that form, that is triple captain all day, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's looking you'd probably easily get 4 goals of that, and you'd say that would be average. But yeah, no, I think to be honest with you, again, if you captain the Man City player Bruno, an Everton player, or Vardy, there's so many options. Whatever I think your gut tells you to go with, do it. And depending on where you are in your mini leagues or in your overall rank, go for as differential as possible and go for somebody you think's actually going to play twice. I think that'll probably be the big thing for me, as like Kane would be. And you question whether KDB he should do. Don't get me wrong, he should do.
I think he will.
Um,
Only he did start, didn't he, against in their last match, and he come off the
yeah,
bench against Everton in the match prior. So I do feel he needs now a run of games to get fully up to
yeah,
match speed.
I agree. I agree.
And 2 home games. against West Ham and Wolves. You know, it's an interesting. If it wasn't City, they're not actually the easiest of games. I mean, West Ham can shut up
Yeah,
shop. They've just beat Spurs,
yeah,
and Wolves are a really really funny team. They seem to know when they can't get a result, so they play completely different.
mm.
Whereas other teams will just go for it. So
They don't
we're all
get spanked, do they, Wolves? You ain't going to beat them 5-6-0 like you could at Palace. I think two,
yeah.
two, 3-0 maybe might be the most. But I feel like they're two teams where City will win. But yeah, it depends on the
What
margin,
do you
doesn't
go?
it?
Do you go? I feel like this game week is a bit on the fence of form versus fixtures
Mm.
because I'd say the teams that are in form might not necessarily have as kind fixtures against the teams that aren't in form. And obviously the highlight it has to be Spurs. They've got
Mm.
an easy game tonight where I'd expect Son and Kane to be rested. It's all going to
Yep.
be eyes on whether Davies plays. Is Aurier back? If they get a nice convincing win tonight again, they go into a plum double game week, and we'd be gutted if we maybe didn't have more Spurs assets. I know you've
Yeah.
got 3 there, but I know
Yeah.
maybe
It could
that
be.
might change.
Yeah, it could be dropped down to 2. So I think we'll move on to probably my moves. What I'm thinking, it's definitely getting in either DCL or Richarlison for Ings for that extra game. I am looking to get rid of my Fabry, my second sub keeper for a, a goalie that will play twice. And then it really depends on if Davis plays tonight, because if he does play, then I can't see him playing in that Burnley game. And that was where I fancied the clean sheet more than the Fulham game because they look all right at the minute. So then I might, switch that up to someone. It might be a City defender, or it might be, yeah, it might be someone a bit different, like a Pereira or someone.
Yeah,
So
I think that's a lovely way of going. I think Pierre is very
yeah,
low loaned as well, isn't he?
mm,
And at the moment, they got that Castagna that's come back and he played and started the last match. So what that means is Pierre might be playing further up the pitch. They've also got that Thomas. I don't know where Leicester get their fullbacks from,
oh, it's
but whoever
incredible.
scouts their fullbacks, he needs a
Yeah,
pay rise.
he does
Like
that.
he is mustard that bloke. So
That's a great
yeah, I
shout.
would have put you off Pierre.
Yeah, it's incredible how you've actually said that because I mean, look at what they've done. So they've obviously brought in Chilwell cheap, sold him on. They've then brought in Pereira. He's obviously now Castagna. JJ brought in from I think a League One team. It's absolutely incredible what they do to that them wing backs. I think it's a banging shout you've just said because they're ridiculous. And Pereira, yeah, I think I think he can definitely do. He's on Moreno, but maybe you might want to go someone a little bit easier and go maybe like a Suchek. I don't know, for a bit, save a bit of money, but it doesn't really excite me too much.
Yeah, I think Suchek's playing now. Lingard's in the team. I think Suchek's actually dropped down a bit in that midfield. He plays a bit more holding. He's always going to have that aerial threat, but it's now they've got Antonio centre forward. They've got Lingard playing off of the striker. Suchek seems like he's taken up more of a Mark Noble role rather than having a bit of a box to box attitude. I'll start a little conversation then, just because it pains me to think I'm a TAA and Mane owner.
Yeah,
I've been waiting and waiting for basically them Liverpool to sort themselves out. Really, a lot of people have jumped off Salah on their wild cards. You being one of them.
yeah,
What would you say to managers then who still own Salah, possibly Salah and Trent, Robertson, Mane, even Firmino? What would you say about managers who own Liverpool assets, considering they've got Sheffield United away and then they play Chelsea in the double,
yeah,
followed by Fulham and Wolves?
yeah. Well, I think if you own Firmino, I think you need to be put down. Um, but I think, to be honest with you, it's interesting with the likes of Salah. I think he's the only real exception I'd probably have owning at the minute. I know you got 2 Liverpool players, and they both look pretty. I mean, you got them both in after that Spurs game, didn't you? And they both look ridiculous. So I don't blame you for doing that. It's obviously, do you obviously like twist, or do you stick sort of play you got? And when you take him out, they're going to bang, but it's the points per value sort of question you've got. Like, even if Salah does score against or does get 10, 15 in his double game week, are you going to captain him? Probably not. And B, could you go with someone like a Vardy and a Barnes, or, like, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, two people off the top of my head who could, match his price. And instead of, going like a Salah and Watkins, go someone like a Vardy and maybe Son. Do you know what I mean? That's like 19 million, isn't it, roundabout? So I think that's the way you got to weigh it up. That's what I also looked at. I was thinking, do I go Kane, Son, and go for the jugular with Spurs, or do I go Salah and Watkins? And
Yeah,
I just thought I'm going to take a punt on the two Spurs boys because I'm not going to captain Salah. He will. You can't sleep on Salah for too long because he will come back and score a brace. He can score against absolutely anybody. He's obviously one of the best players in the league. But yeah, it's just that moment now. Like, I don't see Liverpool. Maybe I thought after that Leipzig game it might have been a turning point because they looked brilliant, and to go there and get a 2-0 win, played really efficient and looked brilliant. So I thought the next game at home to Everton would have been absolutely plum in the league to
yeah,
then really kick on against these games, but they just haven't done it. They capitulated against Everton. I thought they got absolutely
yeah.
bossed.
Hendo's now injured as well.
Hendo, that was a massive. I know that, again, that doesn't help, and I know they've been obviously done by injuries, but it happens. And Man City have still not got. They've been without Laporte, De Bruyne, and Aguero, but that's been their spine for the last 2 seasons. So you don't see them making up excuses. I know Liverpool have got more, but you've still got
Yeah,
them. They've still got them big boys up top, and they're not scoring. So if you can't score, you ain't going to win games. They're not scored in what, 4 league games at home. So it ain't down to the defenders, that job. So I don't care about what anyone says.
surely
Yeah,
the football's going to change though, isn't it? And I just feel like my issue is, and I think if any other managers have these players, and they probably might think even the same, it's like if you go a game week and you're only sort of, losing 5, 10 points against your rivals, or
yeah,
say again, or you're breaking even on the average, it's only going to take that one game week for your Trent to get his goal, like he did against Tottenham,
yeah,
or Mane or Salah, maybe less Salah because he is owned, but Mane to do something, Robbo to look like he did at the start of the season, and the gains are going to outweigh the losses in that time.
yeah.
It's just like I look at it and I think, how can I take out the Liverpool assets when they got Sheffield United
No,
away?
you
If they
can't.
bag 4-5 against Sheffield United, they go against a Chelsea team who for me, Chelsea, don't, like I said, they don't have goals in them,
Yeah.
and they can beat Chelsea easily.
Mm.
And then they played Fulham at home. It's a bit like
Yeah,
it's a
I
bit
think you're
dead.
stuck. I think you've got the two Liverpool assets. I think most people have is just Salah, which is fine. I don't put people off just having Salah. I think it's the smart move. It's mainly because I'm down the bottom of the league. I need to go against the grain. If I'm near the top, I'd have Salah. There's no doubt. But yeah, no, I think obviously you've got 3 games in 2 game weeks, mate. I think you've obviously got to stick with them. I wouldn't put the armband on any of them. I think you've got better options there in your. I'd probably say he's way down the list, Mane. Probably have him like fourth or fifth in your list there, but yeah. So no, I think for the double game week, we've obviously mentioned Leicester looking good, Everton are looking good. We've obviously mentioned we obviously don't mind playing our bench boost with Leeds. We're questioning Liverpool, Man United, in the sense of Bruno is just delivering all game week. So he'd probably be a safe bet to put the captaincy armband on. Man City as well. Is it time to, get back on KDB with 4 home games in 2 game weeks? Or you could just go safe and try and pick two defenders. Is that even safe?
Yeah, I think after this game, I think this game week's going to be a big one. I think
It's
we're seeing
huge, isn't it?
goals just happen
Just goes
now.
on and
I'm
on.
surprised if this will be another really high scoring, if not the highest scoring game week of the season.
Yeah.
Um, and it's probably a turning point after this game week. I think you probably have a couple of teams that will make it through into the Europa League next round and the Champions League next rounds. you'd have those return fixtures coming up in the Champions League, and
But you'd say all the English teams are favourite to go through. You'd say Man City are going to do Mönchengladbach, Liverpool are 2-0 up, Chelsea just won away, Spurs have done it, Arsenal should probably do Benfica.
I'd say Arsenal and Leicester are probably the ones in danger.
Leicester, obviously, yeah, sorry, against Prague.
But I would expect both of them still to progress, but I think they're the ones that they might not. And I tell you something, the moment a team gets knocked out, I think you've got to jump on their assets for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if Leicester don't make it through, get your Vardy in and be done with it. Because obviously all
Yeah.
they're going to do is focus on the league position. Same with it, like I say, any other team that does get knocked out. And then just be cautious of your teams that will probably challenge them for the top 6, like your Evertons. And try and get those assets in, because I think this is the running now after this next game week or so, isn't it?
No, I agree.
Be ready to get on those players.
Yeah, I think there will be another small double game week in 33, depending on how the FA Cup goes. But yeah, obviously watch that space. You've obviously got the blank in 29. And yeah, so mate, just quickly off the top of your head, how many points are you expecting from your squad, shall we say,
Well,
obviously of 15?
I think I'll probably get the 1 point between Trent and Mane. That'd probably be a good turn. I'm looking at it. I don't know. I don't think I've hit the 100 mark this season, so I'd like to hit 100 points.
Yeah.
Can't wait to say I only got 40.
You'll definitely get, let's say, average would probably be this week about 80, won't it? The average, surely the average has got to be about 80.
Well, yeah, and unless something ridiculous happens, like Pep decides he's only going to play his main players at 1 out of the 2 games, and no one has the second games, and then you see other people getting rested. Which, bear in mind, it could happen. I don't want to just joke about that. It could happen. But like I say, if you were going to take it and all of your players are going to play, you're going to have 30 people playing, 30 players. I'm probably going to have around 20. So 20, they've only got to get 3-4 points each on average to get to that
exactly.
80. A triple figure score would be amazing, or high double score. And I think captain is going to be really interesting one, because I think that will be the difference between.
Who are you going with at the minute, if you had to pick one now?
If I had to pick a captain right now, it's hard to look away from Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Even when Tottenham aren't playing well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Against them 2 teams. I totally agree. I think mine's probably going to be Kane. If not, I might take a punt on someone. I'm not too sure. But yeah. I mean, I'll wait for tonight's game, see what happens, see who's playing for Spurs, see who's playing for City. That'll make my decision with them. I'll ponder then tomorrow and then just lock it in.
Said, mate, is pick the player you think is going to probably play 180 minutes. And out of those players, mate, I think probably Kane is the only player I probably think is going to play 180 minutes. Tottenham are in a bit of a bad boat at the moment.
Yeah.
And Mourinho's not start his star man.
Yeah, you bet your house on that, won't you? Right then, mate. I think we'll call that a day. Cheers again, mate, for turning up. I know it's obviously quite a long.
Did you not want to? I know we done so bad on the flutter last game week. Did you want to revisit that and keep going?
Well, I'm glad you actually brought that up, because who did you actually pick out from last week's game? Sorry, last week's flutter for the game week.
I think we had.
You had who?
Spurs, yeah.
Yeah. So you had Spurs, and I went Liverpool. So there we go. We put our neck on the line against probably 2 tough games, and again.
I think that's the first game week where we've both been wrong.
I think so. We've had that yet. We'll say that, even if it's not the first. We'll say it's the first. So then, mate, who are you thinking then for the double game week flutter?
Cool. So technically we've got 4 matches then here to get right. Are you picking one team? I think. Do you know what? I'm going to go with Everton to win both their matches.
Very nice.
I'm going to go both. I think Southampton is going to be one of them games where I mean, Southampton are either going to do what they've done against Chelsea and sort of fluke it in a way, or that I think Everton are too. Actually, I think Everton are too strong. Everton to win both their
I like
games.
that a lot because I'll be stacked up on Everton. I'm actually going to go with a team who I'm probably also going to be a little bit stacked up on, and that's Leicester to win both their games. I know Madison's news isn't great, but they just look mint. I love Brandon Rodgers. And I just think, yeah, I think Arsenal don't interest me at all. That's obviously the danger, but Leicester to win both their games would be my
Yeah,
shout.
yeah. My immediate reaction to that is I've got a feeling Leicester Arsenal will be a draw. But saying that, I think Leicester are the better structured team going into that game. So
Vardy's going to terrorise them, mate.
I can see Vardy scoring. He's been close the last few game weeks. It just hasn't quite happened for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Surprise! I'm just going to throw one out here. Oh, well, I say throw one out here just out of interest. Chelsea have been doing remarkably well under Tuchel. They had this new honeymoon period. He seems to have given a lot of structure to that Chelsea team, albeit I still don't know if he knows what his best 11 is.
Yeah.
Now, they've got a double game week of Manchester United and then they play Liverpool.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Well, how do you think they're going to get on?
I reckon they're going to draw both of them.
Draw both of them?
Yeah. Can't see. That's tough. Yeah. Why? What do you reckon?
I reckon they'll win one, lose one.
Very nice. Which one are you going to win?
Lampard couldn't beat United in how many attempts he had in the league and that. I'm going to say Chelsea beat United and lose to Liverpool.
Oh. Well, let's just have a look, mate. Come next week, how that's got on. But yeah, it's obviously a big slog, guys. Obviously, the game week doesn't actually finish. Wow, is that until the 5th of March? Is it? Let me just find my cursor. Yes, it actually finishes on the 4th, sorry. And then we are back on the 6th of March. So you've got a day in between 2 game weeks.
So we're probably maybe then late on that Thursday when the old Liverpool-Chelsea game's on, and hopefully watching Mane terrorise Chelsea, which will probably happen.
Well, fingers crossed for you, it will.
It'll be bittersweet if my Blues lose, but Mane and Trent are the punishers.
Right. Well, cheers, Dommy. Obviously, if you don't know who we are already, we are Not Another FPL Podcast. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. We always do a captaincy poll a couple of days before the game week, so watch out for that. Get voting. Let us know what you want to hear on the pod. We're open to suggestions. We're open for change. We need a lot of it. We're only new, but we're looking to improve. So that's it from me, mate. And thank you.
Take it easy, mate.